Multiplicities of zeros would be the number of times a factor occurs in the factored form of a polynomial. So looking at this one, this is factored, and the exponent of each of these factors represents the multiplicity of the zero that comes from the factor. That'll make a lot more sense in just a minute. I know that was a lot of math words just then. So let's look at this part right here. If the graph crosses the x-axis at a 0, then that 0 has an odd multiplicity. And if the graph touches the x-axis at a 0, then that 0 has an even multiplicity. Alright, so this one says find the zeros of the function, list the multiplicities of the zeros, list the x-intercepts, and state whether they are touch points or cross points. Then we want to look at it on the calculator and see if it makes any sense. So remember, when we're looking for zeros, this is the same thing as finding your x-intercepts. Okay, so to find an x-intercept, you let y equal 0. So we have 0 equals all this stuff. Set each factor equal to 0. I didn't need that parenthesis right there. And solve. So here we subtract 3. Here we add 2. And here we subtract 1. So all of these represent the zeros of the function. We want to list the multiplicities. So what is the multiplicity of -3? Well, that factor occurred one time. So the multiplicity of this one is 1. X equals 2, that factor occurred 2 times. So that multiplicity is 2. And x equals -1, that factor occurred 3 times. So the multiplicity is 3. So note that this is an odd number, this is an even number, and this is an odd number. Okay, the zeros that come from these, the x-intercepts that come from these zeros would be -3, 0, 2, 0, and -1, 0. These are the x-intercepts. And we need to know if these intercepts are cross points or if they are touch points. Well, remember, an odd multiplicity means it's a cross point. An even multiplicity means it's a touch point. -3, 0 came from a 0 that had an odd multiplicity. That makes it a cross point. 2, 0 came from a factor that had an even multiplicity. That makes it a touch point. And again, this one had an odd multiplicity, so it is a cross point. So we've answered all the little pieces of this problem. We have our zeros, the multiplicities of the zeros, the x-intercepts, and whether they are touch or cross points. So what does this really mean when it comes to a graph? So let's graph it and see. We have I know I'm in slow-mo here. And we're probably going to have to graph it a couple of times so we can fit it all on the window. We might can see that, but it may make a little more sense if we zoom in just a little bit. Trying to see what we want to do here. Let's change our x's to maybe -5 and 5 and change the y's to the same thing. I have to look really close. So it's coming down, it's going up, it's doing kind of a whoosh right there. It's going way up, coming back down, and going back up. So what we want to do is look at these 3 points and see what's happening. Well, -3, 0 is here. Do you see how the graph goes down and goes across the x-axis? Here it's coming back up. It's actually doing a little go down and then go up again. That's what makes it a touch point. Sorry, we're talking about -1, 0. erase what I just said. I wish I could do that in this video. So do you notice how it's going up? It's going across, but it continues on. This is actually a turning point, but we won't get into that right now. So it's going up, it's going across the x-axis at -1, it's going way up, coming back down, and it's just touching here and going back up again. So that's what makes this one a touch point and both of these cross points.